Hi, my name's Larry Carlat, and I'm honored to be here with Bec and Karen talking about all things grief.
Hi, welcome to Room to Grieve podcast. We're your hosts, Karen and Bec. Grab yourself a cuppa, find a comfortable spot, and we'll journey through grief together.
Hi, welcome, Larry. It's lovely
Thank you.
to finally speak to you. We've been emailing for a while, haven't we? And
We have.
finally got here and got down to it. I was actually looking at about 3 a.m. at Psychology Today, and I came across something you'd written, and I could not put it down. And I think I actually woke my husband about 4 a.m. and say, "You need to listen to this. This guy gets it." And he wasn't impressed at 4 a.m. that you got it. So,
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. It is weird. That's all I can say. So today it's not about us. It's going to be the Larry show or the Larry and Rob show.
Okay.
If you don't mind. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about Rob, about suicide and the aftermath of what that brings to what life leaves behind.
All right. Let's start at the end. And the end was Rob taking his own life. He shot himself about 6.5 years ago. What I like to say about it is it was a shock, but it wasn't a surprise. I had been waiting for that phone call for his entire adult life. So not a surprise. Rob was troubled. He was adopted at birth. He was a difficult child, a difficult teenager, a very difficult adult. He suffered from bipolar disorder. He was an alcoholic. He was depressed for as long as I can remember. He was a depressed little boy. And after I usually spiel about this, I like to say the truth. And the truth is that I've never loved anyone the way I loved Rob because I've never met anyone who needed it as much as Rob needed it.
Yeah.
So what happened after that, the usual devastation that you guys know about, that any bereaved parent knows about. But I was in a grief group for 2 years, which I also credit as just fundamental for my own healing. And towards the end, there's too many thoughts in my head, but I'll just say towards the end of 2 years of being in a grief group, it occurred to me that I wanted to be on the other side of the table. I had to wait a year before joining the same organization. It's called Our House Grief Support Center in Los Angeles. I had to wait a year after our group actually finished for me to become a group leader, which I've been doing for the last 3.5 years. And I was telling you before, I am not like one of these guys who is of service. I didn't even know what it meant. I was in service to Rob and to my other son, Zach. The biggest surprise in my life has me becoming a grief coach and a group leader. And it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. As we were talking before, it continues to help in my own healing. And one of the most amazing things about being a grief coach and group leader is after the worst thing that has happened to all of us, probably listening as well, you meet the most wonderful people in the world, the most amazing people in the world, including you guys. And it just never stops. And it's just an incredible, again, it's just such a gift that that you don't realize is a gift until you've experienced it. So, so that's the short version of all my stories. We can take this in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But one of the things, so let me just add one other thing. When I was in that grief group, one of the members of my group said, I wish that there was a manual or a guide for people like us because we really need it. And I'm a writer. I've been a writer my entire life. I worked at Rolling Stone magazine for many years as an editor. And the way I grieved was by writing. But when she said that, a light bulb went off and I said, I'm going to write that book. And that book came out last November. It's called The Space in the Heart, a survival guide for grieving parents. And it's resonated with every bereaved parent who has read it. And I like to make the joke, but it's not a joke. And I say that I have 100 on the Larry Rotten Tomatoes scale. So I don't know if you guys have Rotten Tomatoes where you are, but it's a site that ranks movies. So
Right.
the book has also, I mean, my intent was to have hope on every page, and at the same time being very raw, very honest, and very emotional. I feel like I've read a lot of grief books, and I don't say mine is the best, but I think mine is different than most in that I try to evoke feelings on every page, and I think that's what I've
Yeah.
heard from
Yeah,
many parents.
I've read your book. I read, I'd say a good half of it in one sitting, and then life got in the way, and I had to go back to read the rest. But there's certainly, you just get it. There's no toxic positivity. It's coming from the heart, and that is the main thing. And although everybody's grief differs, as you keep saying in the book, it's still there. The similarities are so still there, aren't they? And
I think the emotional journey is the same for all of us.
Yeah.
Except it's also different.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the one thing for me in the book that really stood out was how quite intentional you are about hope. And hope for me has been so integral to a lot of my grief journey, healing, whatever you want to call it. Right from the day that Bradley was diagnosed, through his illness, through him dying, through my grief, hope has been, I think you say it in the book, hope becomes second to love. And it really is. And it is what has got us through. And I really felt that in everything that I read through your book is you know, how much it's about having that hope.
Got to have hope. I mean, we do have choices. People say you don't have a choice. You do have a choice. You choose to get up. You choose where you take your future. You choose how to carry on. And we have both chosen hope.
Yes. Yeah.
Karen, I think that's the most important thing that you just said, and it just doesn't get spoken about enough.
No.
And it is about, we get to choose how we want to move forward with our grief. And in the beginning, we don't know that there's a choice because we are just under the darkest cloud and in the worst pain we've ever had. So we have no idea that there's a choice. But at some point, we get to the fork in the road and we have to decide how we want to move forward. How do we want to cope? How do we want to integrate this in our lives? And it's a proactive thing. And we all get there, but we all get there at different times. I know it took me the better part of a year to get there. I know others where they're still struggling after 5 or 6 years. I know still others that you find in Facebook groups that they say that, you know, their child passed away 20, 25 years ago, and they're still in excruciating pain. And it's because they haven't made any choices.
Yeah. And I think that's a really brave thing. And a really needed thing for you to say and to do. I don't think enough people are brave enough to say it, and I don't think enough people are brave enough to do it. You know, but I think a lot of it, again, what you say in the book about seeking support, you know, and finding others who kind of understand, you know, other people that are in this club that no one wants to be in. I do think, for me, I truly believe this journey would have been different if I hadn't have met Karen. You know, I think if I was doing this alone, then it would have looked very different. So I think that helps.
I also think that...
Go ahead, Karen, I'm sorry.
I think myself and Bec did have anticipatory grief. We knew our children were going to die. I think you probably knew something drastic was going to happen with Rob, but we knew the time scale, we could see it, we watched it. And even throughout that, we had each other at the other end of the phone on a text. We hadn't even met each other until after Bradley had died. And that, I think when you say you thought how we'd got to this part in our journey at only the 2-year stage, I think that was because of the anticipatory grief. We decided
100%.
before they died, we were not going to, we made the right choices, and we made
For
them
us.
between us. Yeah, for us. And we encouraged each other, and it spiraled. And it's, should we do a podcast? Should we write a book? We've written a book. It's not quite finished. We'll get to that in a minute. And it just happened. And like you, the more support we got, the more that we could see we were helping others, that just encouraged us. We just carried on. And it's now our future. It's the only way that we can carry on. That's how we feel at the moment.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you guys are so lucky to have each other, because I can't tell you how many bereaved parents I speak with. And what they say is they wish that they could go to someone who understands exactly how they're feeling.
Yes.
And yes, you find that in grief groups, but even in grief groups, it's very hard to find a very specific thing where, both of you guys had that, and exactly how the other person is feeling, and also you're each other's witness, which I think is also just so important, because you can vomit out your guts, and that person knows exactly what you're saying and what you're feeling, which is sort of a rare thing. It's not an easy thing to come by. So it's, you are, in one sense, to use the term lucky in this situation is pretty crazy, but it is lucky that you have each other.
It's very much like if one of my friends says something to me, my instant reaction, a lot of the time, especially in the earlier days, was shut up, you don't know. You haven't got a clue. And then Karen could give me exactly the same advice, and my instant reaction is still, shut up, you don't know. And then I have to stop myself and think, but she does. And so it makes me listen. It forces me to listen to actually what she's, what everybody else is telling me, but I don't accept it from them in the same way that I accept it from Karen.
It's such an interesting point. I also know when Rob died, I was living with my girlfriend, and we wound up separating because she was outside of my grief. And strangely, my ex-wife and I became very, very close after Rob passed, because she was the only person who really knew what I was feeling. And it was ours. It was our grief together. Yeah. And, and a lot of bereaved parents that I speak with wind up not staying together because they have a hard time sort of just dealing with it. And, again, you guys, it's
grieving
great
differently.
Way differently, particularly the difference between men and women, where men just suck it all in and they don't want to share any vulnerability. And I see it all the time in grief groups where, there's 10 people in the group, 9 are women, 1 dude is there reluctantly because his wife forced him to be there. He never says a word, and you can see he doesn't want to be there. So, and that's the stereotype, but stereotypes are for a reason. So,
yeah, we find our husbands are very different to us in how they grieve. But oddly, our husbands are very similar in themselves. So that's also very helpful, because how Karen's husband behaves is very similar to mine. So that, they go, and thankfully we all go through the stages at different times. So that really helps us all, that we're always prioritizing one of the 4 of us, and it never has to be, or rarely has to be, all of us at the same time. Yeah. So that's helpful too.
And Bec, I don't even like the word stages, because I feel there really are no stages. I do think there's a ton of emotions, and I feel we feel all of the emotions sometimes all at the same time. We can be angry and sad and even a little happy and lonely, but it's all mushed together. There's no sort of like acceptance and anger and sadness and bargaining. I think all those things happen, but they can all happen at the same time, or they can happen out of sequence, but the word stages is always something that I get my back up because it's sort of an anachronistic term.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree. There is just so much that is weird for me to understand, especially in how men and women just process the whole thing so differently. And I think I read in your book that you specialize in supporting men as opposed to women. Is that right? That's sort of more your area.
It is, yes, and the but is plenty of women come to me also. So I wind up speaking to both men and women.
Yeah.
But the reason that I started a website called Grief for Guys was because they don't open up to just anyone. And I find like I just had sort of the ability to hear them, to listen. And, and I always say, like, if we don't vibe immediately, then I'm the wrong person for you. And I just, I can vibe with a lot of dudes. And they feel comfortable enough to share their story. And usually at the end of the first time I meet them, we're crying together because they feel comfortable enough to open up. And of course, most women don't have a problem with that at all. Most men certainly do. So it started out as I was just counseling guys, and now it's really any bereaved parent. So I have a question for you guys. Maybe we can talk about this a little bit. And I'm curious how you stay connected to your child.
For me, I very much take the viewpoint that you do, in that we choose to believe that there's something more. We choose to believe that they're still around us. We choose to believe that we can still talk to them, that they send us signs, and that we're all still connected. Karen, probably more so than me.
I think your chapter, Being and Nothingness, describes it all. You've got to have belief. Never had belief before. I have no religious beliefs, but now 100% I've got to have belief.
Of course.
I truly, truly do. That fact keeps me going, that I will see Emily again. And I'm 100% sure of that. And I speak to her every single day. I use a pendulum and speak to her with the yes and no answers.
Oh, that's great.
I don't care if anybody says, oh, it's your own inner thoughts and it's your subconscious thoughts. I don't care. I'm using it, and I'm speaking to my daughter.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've never heard that before. I love that idea.
She tells me things and she gets them right, and she's spot on.
She gives you hugs and high fives.
I hold my thing and I say, I'm going up to bed now. Can I have a hug? Can we hold hands? And the pendulum comes to my finger and it stays on my finger.
Love it.
Right. And then I hold the pendulum onto something that twizzes. I said, can you hit the star? And it'll hit the star. And I say, stop it and go the other way. And it does. And I will continue to do these things. I might be a little bit woo-woo like you described in your book, but I don't care.
I became a little bit woo-woo too. We are all very much on the same page.
Yeah.
And what always surprises me, particularly when I'm counseling people, is the idea of, why wouldn't they choose to do this? Why aren't they making the choice? It feels so comforting, right? It feels so great to stay connected to our children. And all we have to do is make that choice in belief. And there are so many people I can't get my head around sometimes, where I feel like I've become the Pied Piper of this. And it's like, why wouldn't you make this choice? It feels so good.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah.
And not everyone makes that choice.
No, it's the feathers, the robins, the rainbows.
The name. Bradley sends me his name.
Bradley sends his name constantly.
How?
And
usually car registration plates, or like shop signs, or his name written on the side of a van, or
I love it.
Yeah.
And we also, this will take us to another level of woo-woo now.
All right, good. Bring it on. I love woo-woo.
Believe they are together.
Yes.
We've been told.
Oh, me too.
we've been told numerous times. And something else that you spoke about in your book, when you connect with somebody, this has happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
When you connect with a parent, Emily connects with their child. And
100%. I say it all the time, and I feel it. I feel that always in our conversations that our kids are all hanging out together every time we're talking to someone.
But we've even had it validated the other way round, in that Emily has come to us with, I say us, with Karen, because I can't do the connection thing. I'm rubbish at it. Come to Karen with names, and then we have met the parents after.
I didn't know there was a lady. There was a little girl called, was it Bella Grace?
Yeah.
An American girl called Bella Grace, and it's somebody who followed us on Instagram. I didn't know this, and I said to Emily, "Are you on your own?" And she said, "No." I said, "Are you with Bradley?" "No." "Are you with somebody new?" "Yes." "Is it a girl?" And we go through our list. We go through the alphabet, and she called me B. And I said, "Is it a name I should know?" And she said, "Yes." So I said, "No, I don't know the name." And Bella was a character that she drew and wrote about. And she actually got onto the BBC's Young Artist of the Year with this character. I'll just drop that in.
That's great.
And I said, "Bella." And it was a massive yes. The pendulum went mad. And then this lady came along a few days later, called and messaged Bec, and it was her daughter was Bella Grace. And she actually said, "I believe my daughter's with your children." With your children.
Wow.
Yeah. And she lived in Florida. Like, there was just a lady that, we've obviously never met.
There was another one, and I asked her, "Could you look after George, Gorgeous George?" And I said, "Could you send me a sign that Gorgeous George is with you?" And I went to the pool about an hour later, and I had 3 red dragonflies flying around me in the pool.
Amazing.
So I am number one woo-woo person in this outfit.
I'm
She's
right
technical, I'm woo-woo.
All right, let's keep talking woo. What's your feeling about going to psychic mediums?
Oh, we do that too.
Yeah, we've been to a few crazy ones that are just absolutely so funny. They're
also horrific. We've been to some horrific ones.
Yeah,
it's terrible when you get one who's just basically a grifter and they're just preying on people like us. But when you get the real thing, it's absolutely mind blowing. And I've gotten the real thing from at least 3.
What was the lady? Oh, 3. Her name, so I've read about
there
one.
Are 3. I wrote about this one. Her name is Floor.
That's right.
And you can Google Floor Medium, and she is the best one that I've ever experienced. And I went to her before Rob died and after, and she said things that only I knew. And it was like, they always talk about like they're tuning into a radio station, and for whatever reason, she got Rob so directly. It was mind-blowing, but more than anything, what great comfort it provided me to know that Rob is not struggling. He's not in pain. As a matter of fact, he's doing great. He's evolving on the other side of the veil, and everything is good. And to hear that, I mean, I've heard it from a number of mediums in the past. It's just the best words I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little the Pied Piper because I was living in LA, which is woo-woo land. And I would tell everyone, and I would give people, here are 3 you can go to. And it's the same deal. People are it's such a black or white type of thing. You have people who want to believe and they're into it. And then you have total skeptics and they want nothing to do with it. And I'm like, but it's going to make you feel better. And they don't seem to care. And you can't really do much more than that.
I was the total skeptic until...
Me too.
Until I met Emily. Well, I never met Emily, but until I met Karen and Emily before Emily died. And Emily was very spiritual. And so in, the lead up to Emily dying, she was quite spiritual in her kind of her conversations and stuff, and Karen would relay these to me, and it kind of made me think, okay, maybe. And then Bradley knew he was going to die. Emily didn't. And Bradley died first. He died 3 weeks before Emily did. And he always said that he would look after Emily and he would be there for Emily. And Karen never told Emily that Bradley died because Emily was well aware that her trajectory was on the same path. So there was no point in telling her that. But about a week or so, maybe not even that long after Bradley died.
It was 3 days after Bradley died.
Yeah. Emily had this conversation with Bradley that she believes she had with Bradley. And it was a conversation that she had with him about things that were very Bradley, about how having a jam and Nutella sandwich, whereas Bradley only ate jam and Nutella sandwiches and things. So, like, it was all very believable. But Emily truly believes that she saw Bradley and that Bradley was there for her that day. And he always promised he would be. And then we've seen a few mediums, and every medium I have seen always tells me about Bradley and Emily.
Wow.
And I
That's
always
fantastic.
get told that I am connected to Emily, weirdly. And I also get told that Bradley and Emily are soulmates. They are, what do we get told? They're entwined. They're not lovers. They're just entwined souls that were always destined to be together.
Amazing.
That is, there's nothing else could have given us more comfort than that. Knowing your child, beautiful. Because when you always know, especially when they're young, because Emily was only 14 when she was diagnosed, and she was 16 when she died. I've always known at every point where she is up until that age. I mean, Bradley was 18, and to not know where they are, where they've gone, you can torture yourself with that. And never mind the fact that we're their parents, we should have made them better, we should have protected them more. Just that all them tortures, and if one of them tortures can just be reduced that little bit by having that comfort that we believe they are together and they are happy and they have no more cancer.
We have created such an amazing place for them to be.
It's like Rob has no longer got that turmoil in his head. It's gone, hasn't it?
100%.
It's gone.
And also, I mean, one of the things that I do, and I also try to get other bereaved parents to go along with this, particularly if you had a difficult child, if you had someone who either had mental illness or was, a drug addiction, that kind of thing, is not to sort of dwell in the past and torture yourself with all of the what ifs. And I think you can do it to a certain degree because it's only natural. But after a while, again, you have to make that decision not to just keep ruminating on it. And there's nothing good that comes out of it other than the pain it causes. And yet a lot of people stay stuck in that pain because they think that the pain keeps them connected to their child, instead of knowing that it's all about the love of your child and you'll always be connected and you can sort of let go of the pain of the past. And I also don't think you should be living in the future. I think there's only one place to be, and it's where we are right now, in the now. And yet a lot of bereaved parents spend a lot of time in the past thinking of all the things that they fucked up and that they could have done differently. And it's a total waste of time, and it's a self-inflicted wound that doesn't need to happen if you make the right choice.
I think that I'm just saying here that sometimes you go into the future and you worry about the future, don't you? And you do have to be grounded back to today. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to think, Bradley would be I'd probably be engaged now, or he'd be going on holidays with his friends, and it's another form of torture, isn't it?
Yeah, and I torture myself on I've got to do this for another 40 years, another 30 years, you can't. I torture myself on that. How am I going to, especially in the earlier days when it was a lot harder than it feels some days now. Like, how can I sit in this much pain every day for the next 30 years? And it wasn't until, like you say, that I kind of stopped doing that and allowed myself to focus on the here and now and my other kids too,
And
I
you don't just stop on one day, do you? You've said that in your book, Larry. You don't realise you're stopping it. You're doing it gradually. You don't just wake up like, right, I'm not going to think about the future now. I'm going to focus on today. I'm cured. And it's just like...
I always say that people think that there's an on-off light switch when it comes to this. And of course, it doesn't work that way at all.
No. And Bec's doing it the right way. I think you realise you got yourself down and you was looking to the future more, and you're bringing yourself back. We'll lapse at some point over the next few years.
Normal.
And then we'll just have to remind ourselves, no.
I'm really bad at pitting myself against other people but look how they're doing, look how I'm doing, you know, and especially on the days when I'm struggling. And I don't necessarily do is give myself that same hard time on the days when I'm not struggling. You know, on the days when I'm finding everything really hard, I think, well, how's everybody else coping? But on the days when I'm coping, I don't think, oh, look, I'm coping today, yay me. You know, I forget to give myself that kind of, I punish myself, I suppose, when it's all a bit harder.
We're also hard on ourselves. I mean, you know, as parents, you know, what's our fundamental job is to keep our kids alive. And for various reasons that we have no control over, that doesn't always happen. And yet we still punish ourselves. And it's the most natural thing that happens when you have the most unnatural thing that happened to you.
Yeah.
Did you find with your other son that you were I've got another son too called Zach as well. And I find that with Zachary, I'm a little bit like, I feel, I don't know, I just feel like all the time all I need to do is make sure his life is perfect. And I've got two girls as well. And weirdly, I find that I worry more about Zachary than I do the girls. And I don't know whether it's because he's a boy. I don't know whether it's because my girls talk more freely about Bradley to me and he doesn't. But I find myself really panicky over wanting to keep his world so perfect.
I don't think I have that, mainly because when Rob was alive, Rob sucked up all of the energy in the room. All the negative attention. And Zach was the second banana, and Zach also couldn't be more different than Rob. He wakes up in the morning and there's a spark in his eyes, and he is such a happy person and has always been that way from birth. So I used to say, like, I never worried about Zach because he never gave me anything to worry about, where Rob gave me tons to worry about. But I'm also, you know, I'm a parent, I'm a father, and when Rob died, I had to transfer all of my worry onto Zach. Even though he does not give me any cause to ever worry, I now worry about him because I have to worry. And that's just part of the job.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, because my Zachary doesn't give me anything to worry about. I look for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's me. Yeah. It's me looking for them because I feel like I want that.
Yeah, it's natural. We want to protect our child, and it doesn't make it like Zach is 32 years old and married, and you know, he doesn't need me to worry anymore. But of course, it doesn't work that way.
No, you can't turn it off, can you?
No, never.
No, I think there was something you said in your book that really resonated with me. I think you said something about that grief doesn't go anywhere, that we absorb it, kind of thing. And then one day you kind of realize that what used to feel a separate entity is now actually part of you, and you learn to live with it, kind of thing. Is that what you said? Something like that?
Yeah, and I go even further, where I say, I think our grief evolves over time, and it becomes a part of us, and it becomes the best part of us. And I don't know about you guys, because I'm a little older than you and a little further down the grief road. But I feel losing Rob has made me into the best version of myself that I've ever been. And I think it's a combo of being older and going through this experience where it has softened me up and made me more empathetic. And I did not see this on my bingo card at all, but I find my grief is now it's this part that I love about myself, and it's, and it's where I store all my love as well.
Yeah.
And you can't see that in the beginning because it's just total darkness in the beginning until you're walking down the road a little bit and the glimmers of light start to happen.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, it's happened to both of you guys already.
Yeah, and I think you can't fight it as well because you do try and fight. You think, why should something good come from something bad?
I
And
know.
I
I
should
know.
feel like this. It does.
It does.
And
It does. It feels like you're dishonoring your child, and it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite.
But
It's a
into that
gift they left
mindset.
for you.
Yeah. That's it. I struggle with that.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving, though, because it can
really
just get
is. But you guys
stronger
are
and
really,
stronger.
Beck, you're not very far down the road, even though you've made great strides. I mean, 2 years is not very far.
No,
It's a long road.
yeah. We actually started our book.
Yeah, tell me about it, because just from
Well,
the
it's
little
not
things
even.
that I've heard today, I think
Yeah,
your book would be
it's
fascinating. I want to
it's
read it like right
it,
now.
it is just about the early stages of grief, and we wrote it when we was in it.
Me
I
too.
started writing it at 6 weeks
6
after they
weeks.
died.
That's great. I did the same
And
thing. I started to blog about Rob just about a month after he died. I had to. It was the way I
yes,
knew how to grieve.
yeah. Yeah, so that's what we did, and like Becca said, we if we read it now, when we do read it, we proofread it, we sort of, should we change it? We got no, because that's how it was. Then it's got to stay
It's
like
amazing how
that.
much you forget, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like how much we
Absolutely.
read it now and think, Christ, did I write that?
Yeah, but when you talk about walking through fire, and then there's usually something, I see it as like an emotional mountain comes in front of you, and it's not just one mountain. You get over that mountain and there's probably another one. Well, I've hit the mountain where I cannot finish the bit about Emily's death in the book. Now, the book isn't about our children. The book is about early stages of grief, but we've included at the back of the book our children's stories, so people can see where we come from. Yeah, this is us. Yeah, so I know you've got to work at grief, like you said. We work our asses off, and I've now got to work through this emotional mountain so I can finish that book, because Beck's done all her bit, everything's ready to go, and I just need to do that little bit, and I'm stuck at that.
And what is inhibiting that?
Just, I mean, I've been through the trauma of, I've done, like you, the EMDR, is it? I always get it the wrong way around, EDMR or EMDR.
No, you got it right.
I've done through that with the trauma of the end. And I just, at the moment, I think because we've been so busy these last few months, I've not been able to deal with it because of too much headspace, and I need to clear my head to be able to write those few paragraphs and to make them right for her, to do justice for her. And I'm just not quite there yet, but that's like what you said, you've got to walk through fire. And
you do, and
that's my fire that I'm attempting to keep walking up to it, and then walking back.
Most people, it's counterintuitive, right? Most people, when they see fire, you don't walk towards the fire, right? You run. A lot of people run away from it.
Yeah.
But that's the irony where, I always say to lean into the thing that scares you the most, lean into that pain, because that's what you need to face. That's what you need to integrate into yourself. And then it abates and it changes, and it changes into something that you can't possibly see as you're changing. And you guys have probably seen it over 2 years. I'm sure you've changed plenty. And you will continue to change over the years. It's that part I don't think ever ends, that we constantly change. And I think all of that change is always positive. I can't think of anything negative about this evolution that we all go through. An evolution and sort of a metamorphosis.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of change. If we go to your paragraph when you spoke to your wife and asked her to put how she felt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I was like,
that.
Yes,
I could have written that.
Yes. Yeah, it was like
I could have written that paragraph myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's about the mundane, the getting through the normal things. Like we did a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
That the mundane sometimes is good and it gets you through another day. But then the not being able to tolerate people and not being able to tolerate
bullshit,
insignificant things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's
but then having
goodness.
the empathy and the compassion for people who you feel really need it, like
it's
that
like
for
magnet,
me is,
isn't it?
Yeah, that for me has majorly heightened. And I think your wife said something about completely falling apart in the car, and then a few moments later just regathering yourself. That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
On the tangent to that is also something that we were talking about before, and that is when you meet another bereaved parent, you are instantly connected with them. It's like a shorthand happens.
Yeah.
And again, like, how could you have ever known that was going to be a thing where your hearts are connected?
Yeah.
And I've met so many people, so many readers after the fact that I do Zoom calls with them and I meet them in person. And it's such an intense connection that I have with them. And it's, part of it is the similar trauma that we've all experienced. But there's something that's almost magical about this instant, like it's ineffable. I can't really sort of describe it other than like I feel connected to you guys the way I feel that our children are connected together as well. And it's sort of a remarkable thing.
It's like you've known that person all your life and you know them more than your best friend who hasn't lost a child.
Yeah, you have like a trust with them, don't you? There's like
100. That's
you
a
just
great
feel
word.
safe. Yeah, it suddenly feels like a safe space for me, and I just feel, just feel a bit more calmer.
And and it feels good. It feels so good.
It does. Yeah.
It's like we've both been through the worst stuff you can go through, and we're still here, and we're sort of amazing people because we've endured that, and we're still here, and it's really remarkable.
It's like you being a few years on than us, it would come back to the hope word again.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about in your book that you can watch Monty Python and you can think of Rob and, of certain things that you used to watch together. Not quite there yet, but you give us hope that, we'll be able to listen to a whole Taylor Swift song without crying, and
it takes a while. It takes a while. Like I have a friend who actually started out as a grief coach, and then we become really close friends. And in the beginning, when I first started to talk with him, I was saying, do you look at photos of your son? Do you look at videos? And he says, I couldn't face it. And it took him years before, we were finally together and we went through photos together. And it was such a joyful experience. And, and he thought it was going to be another painful, terrible thing. And it was just filled with joy. It was beautiful. And again, in the beginning, it's impossible to do that, but you can sort of get there. And, and 2 years is not very long. So I also think, and I say this to people all the time, give yourself some grace, give yourself the same grace you would give anyone else in that situation. And I find we don't, we're so hard on ourselves.
We don't
right?
in every aspect of life, do we? We just, no.
What's wrong with us?
Oh, we're weird. We're weird. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was letter writing.
Yeah. I love it. I've always been a letter writer. But I find, and I almost say that the first thing when I'm talking to a bereaved parent as an exercise, I said, just sit down and write a letter. And what I say about that is don't think at all. Just close your eyes and envision your child and just write right from your heart, write whatever comes out, and don't even look at it. Just write and write and write. Don't edit. Don't even go backwards. And just try to express your feelings. And, it's amazing. And the connection that forges is, for me, it's a direct connection to talking to Rob always. And, and I don't write him as many letters as I used to, mainly because I talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just like you, I'm just talking to him constantly. But the letters, what's good about having a letter after you've written it is then to go back and look at it. And it gives you a little distance from your feelings, so you can actually sort of see your own feelings and process them a little more. So that's why I think it's important to write these letters.
Okay.
And also what we said before, like I blogged about Rob for a solid year. Every day I wrote about Rob. And I also wanted to capture my feelings in real time because I wanted to document how I felt after day one, all through his 1-year anniversary. And I think the letters also do that, where it gives you a document of your feelings. Because Bec, you said, we don't have memories of certain things. And a lot of people are always fearful that they're going to forget their child, which of course is impossible, but it's a fear, particularly as you get older. It's a fear. And I don't think you will ever forget about their child because our child lives in our hearts. But for those who do, the letters are also very, very helpful for that.
Yeah. It's something I've started doing, weirdly. Not necessarily to write a letter to Bradley, but it's because I'm very scared of of intense feelings. I don't have a very good coping mechanism with them, so I avoid them and I deny them and all the rest of it because, the same as a lot of people, I just worry that if I go there and I invite them in, that they'll never stop. So I've started doing this subconscious writing where I set a timer for 7 minutes on my phone. And I just write for 7 minutes, and then I'm not allowed to read it until the next day. And then the next day I write for another 7 minutes. And some of the stuff I write, I think, oh, was that really in my head? That's a bit weird. But it allows me to and it's not necessarily always about Bradley, but it just allows me to help manage my feelings a little bit more.
I'll say one more thing about letter writing, where I also started to write letters from Rob in Rob's voice to me.
Wow.
And we do that in our grief groups. And in the beginning, one of the first activities is writing a letter to your child. But towards the end, we ask them to reverse it and write a letter from your child to yourself. And people find that very, very difficult because they're channeling their child and trying to put themselves in their child's shoes. And it's a very, very painful exercise, but it's also a beautiful exercise because you wind up saying the things your child would say. You wind up saying things like, I want you to be happy, Mom, and I don't want you to worry about me because I'm not in pain and I love you, and all of these deep, deep feelings. So when you're ready, try to reverse it sometimes, and it's difficult, but it's beautiful if you can get there.
Yeah, try that because it's cathartic, isn't it? And
very much so.
As you were saying it, I was smiling because I could hear her voice.
Me too. I was running through a Bradley monologue in my head.
Say. And I wrote a letter, which probably most people do, to put in a coffin. And I broke my heart writing the letter, thinking it was my last letter to her. But it doesn't need to be my last letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start the letter writing, and I will do what you've said, and I will write one back. But
it's interesting.
She had.
No, it's an interesting exercise.
We gave her permission to swear, and she took it right to the limit. So I think there'll be a few swear words coming into that letter.
Good. Those are my favorite words.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think we're just showing up and doing it as best as we can, and we're doing that grief work that as you said, isn't necessarily work in the sense of you think I have to actively think about what I'm going to do to help myself today. It is literally just the mundane everythings that is the work that, that's all you need to do is just show up in life.
And feel it. Yeah, and you need to feel it,
Yeah.
which obviously you guys do deeply.
Yeah. When do we get to the stage where we don't try and turn every single conversation back to our children? Because that's where
that's
I'm
a good
still
question.
there at 2 years.
Yeah, I would say it's different for everyone, and certainly at 2 years, you're still talking about your child a lot.
Yeah.
I talk about Rob organically. It's not an incessant type of thing anymore. And again, it's 6.5 years for me. But it's different for everyone, but I would say 3 years and 4 years, you're probably talking about your child less than you are the first and second year.
Right.
So everyone gets to these places and they all get there on their own time and in their own way. There's no direct path at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, don't you refer to that point as sort of being the beginning, and everybody reaches the beginning at a different time?
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I'll just say one thing about that, where when I was thinking about the book, I knew I wanted to do 3 parts. Part 1 is the end, and it's the end of your child's life, and it's the end of your life as you knew it. And part 2 is the middle, and the middle is the emotional grief journey that we all walk down that same road. And part 3 is the beginning, and the beginning is after you've integrated grief into your life and you've learned to sort of cope with it. It's the beginning of the new you, because you've transformed, and you've transformed into sort of, like I keep saying, a better version of yourself. And you're going on to live the next chapter, and hopefully you're finding joy again in your life. And that was my trajectory. And that's why I felt that other people would see themselves in the book, because they would that they had a similar trajectory.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still very stuck on the what's the point of life chapter at the moment.
But that's so normal. And, and I always say that too. Whatever you're feeling is what you should be feeling. There's no wrong here, and wherever you are, it's because you need to be there, and it's going to keep changing.
Yeah, it is. Well, I very much enjoyed reading your book. I found it very comforting, and I found that you gave me a lot of permissions to feel a lot of things that I probably needed to be told. And so that for me was very helpful. And like I said, the hope resonated through it, and for me that's a massive thing that I've really held on to since the day Bradley was diagnosed. So thank you very much for that. And
that fills me up to hear it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. The same here. We've got to have hope, and the book does give you hope.
Whereabouts can we get the book? Do you know in the UK? Is it?
I assume you guys have Amazon.
Yeah.
And Audible.
Yeah. Oh, is it on Audible? Okay.
It's on Audible. I do the narration, and frankly, I think it's the best way to experience the book, because you hear the emotion in my voice. And I'm not an actor or anything. I'm just a dad reading my book. But it always surprised me. And I know my book backwards and forwards. I've worked on it for many years. And yet I was so moved by actually hearing the words out loud.
Really?
And you can hear the emotion in my voice. So I'm big on the audio version.
Okay. I subscribed to Audible after Bradley died. I weirdly found reading very difficult. And
absolutely. I've heard that from so many bereaved parents.
I had to listen, and I have listened to books ever since Bradley died as opposed to reading them, which, that's a change for me.
Yeah.
Me too. Same thing happened.
I've never listened to a book ever.
Oh, they're on in my car all the time.
Try mine. It'll be the
I've
first
read yours.
one.
I've read yours.
Good place to start.
Yes, we will. We will. But thank you so much for joining us today.
It was really a pleasure talking to you guys. I loved it.
For being so honest and everything as well. And I think there's so many of our listeners are going to find all that really useful.
Yes.
And I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, me too. No, you guys were an absolute pleasure. I
Thank
love
you very
talking
much.
with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.